And it automatically records, Tom, once it's just running on YouTube?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I got the streaming link already. So let
All
me
right. I'm gonna.
paste it in.
Okay, I muted that. Okay, you got the link.
I already got it. Yep.
I don't have to do live. I don't have to do full screen over on YouTube.
You don't have to do anything on YouTube except if you're watching on a browser window, make sure that you're muted.
Yes, I have done that. All right,
Okay.
but that's good because now I can see the chat box on on YouTube. I can't see the chat box on Zoom. So I don't know. Maybe Reverend Michelle, you could keep an eye on the Zoom chat box just in case somebody puts in a
I will do so.
one of the joys and concerns during the service.
Oh, okay. Because we're not doing joys and concerns in the service. We're doing it in the coffee hour.
Right. Just sort of save it up. Helen Lane is going to be leading that, but if she has a little difficulty reading chat box font size.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go upstairs now to my big screen TV and I'm going to watch this on the big screen.
Okay. Don't be too critical of my editing.
I'm not.
Good to see you, Tom. Take
Hey,
care.
Tom.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
See ya. Bye.
I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to set security so other people cannot unmute themselves.
Welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation founded in 1711 along with the town of Needham. We are a proud LGBTQ welcoming congregation, a climate justice seeking green sanctuary, and a level 2 sanctuary supporting congregation for our work for immigration justice. Whoever you are, whatever your background, and wherever you're watching from, we are so glad you are here today. I am Mary-Ann McGowan. In my 16 years as a member of First Parish, I have served in a number of different roles, including in the religious education and youth programs, as a member of Parish Committee and the Communications Committee, and as a leader of the Racial Justice and Reparations Task Force. Most recently, I have been working on a personal level to become anti-racist and inclusive in how I live my life, and First Parish has played an important role in my journey. As you know, our church building has been closed because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but our faith community is open. We hope all of you will plug into our Zoom gathering opportunities throughout the week, including Zoom Social Hour after every Sunday service. You can learn more about all that's happening in First Parish by visiting our website, uuneedham.org, or by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. To get the Zoom links, please sign up for our weekly email newsletter by going to our website and clicking Get Involved Newsletter, or sending your request to office@uuneedham.org. Our sincere hope is that these online services and connection opportunities will help us keep the spiritual, emotional, and social closeness that we treasure in our faith community. If you're watching this service as it live streams, please take a moment now to say hello and introduce yourself in the YouTube or Zoom chat box. Welcome again to everyone, and good morning.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Michelle Walsh. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am delighted to be with you here in Needham again this morning. I'm recording this from Quincy, Massachusetts, in the Blue Hills, the home of the Massachusetts people originally. I am a middle-aged white woman with curly brown hair, and I'm sitting with my stole robe on this morning. It's bright blue colors. Let's join together now in a mutual call to worship written by James Luther Adams. I call that church free. These are excerpts. And as I lead a call to worship, I invite us to consider it a mutual call to worship because we are the priesthood and prophethood of all believers, as James Luther Adams has written. So let us say together and to each other from our homes, I call that church free, which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence, that sustaining and transforming power, not made with human hands. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship. It is a pilgrim church, a servant church, on an adventure of the Spirit. The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesying, the other for the ministry of healing. It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth and maketh all things new. Come, let us worship together.
Thank you, Reverend Walsh. It's a pleasure having you with us again here in Needham. My name is Phil Lyons. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm recording this from my condo in Needham on the Saturday before our service. I'm an elder guy with gray hair and glasses, wearing a yellow business shirt this morning with a blue tie. We light our chalice this morning, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, with words from Reverend Duncan Teague, the Black gay minister of the Abundant Love Unitarian Universalist Church of Atlanta, Georgia. Abundant Love. Love is spelled L-U-U-V. Last summer, we watched his July 4th worship service, at the end of which he shared these words. I still believe in this country. Despite our torture and oppression in this country, we proud black folks will on canes and walkers return to claim our historic place in this messy, unfair, cruel story of the country. We will sing and do whatever we must to honor the part we have played to make this nation of ideals that we have never fully enjoyed. But also be clear, there are moments when all the pain is surpassed by the love and the power of our commitment to make this place home. It is ours, with all the broken promises in every lyric. This is ours too. Of thee I sing.
In Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of the Church strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Please say along with me from home the words of our parish covenant as shown on your screen. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world. Although we cannot gather in person during this time, we are living these promises every day.
Our opening hymn this morning is number 121 from Singing the Living Tradition. In the hymnal, it's titled, We'll Build a Land. However, its original title by the author Carolyn McDade was Creation of Peace, as it was rooted in both the Hebrew Bible and anti-war activism. We know, however, that words and metaphors have great power to call forth visceral embodied reactions from the lived experiences of different people. For the Reverend Daniel DeBona, a Wampanoag Indian, this called forth images of colonialism and genocide, particularly when she saw hundreds of mostly white faces in the hall singing it for the service of the living tradition a few years ago. White European culture had indeed built upon Native American land, and at the expense of its indigenous peoples. This caused her great pain and caused musicians much to reflect upon in terms of the use of words and how to create more inclusive language for our hymns. This morning, you will hear Kate singing the original words to this song, and across your screen will come the new words that are intended to be more inclusive. We invite you to sing along with the hymn and to sing the new words, but also to pay attention to the classic words and the impact these words could have on different people with different lived experiences. The new words will be, come build a world where families and neighbors, united by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come, let us sing together.
Where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Hello, I'm Clyde, aka the Reverend Dr. Clyde Grubbs, living in the land of the Massachusetts people. People use he, his pronouns when talking about me. I am a tall elder with long silver hair, and I'm wearing a dark red shirt with stripes. I wear the turtle symbol as a pendant. Michelle asked me to read a poem written by Langston Hughes in 1935 in the midst of the Great Depression. Let America be America again. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America was never America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be the great, strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme. Let any man be crushed by one above. It was never America to me. Oh, let it be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wrath, but great opportunity is real. Life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. Where never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? Who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and rushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everyone's thing for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman of the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today, despite the dream, beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years, yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even its mighty daring sings in every block and stone and every furrow turned, that made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lay, and torn from black Africa, stand I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung, and the millions who have nothing for our pay, except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has yet been, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man, the Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood and faith and pain, whose hand is in the foundry, whose plow is in the rain. Let's bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain from those who, like their leeches in the people's lives, you must take back our land again. America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America was never America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be out of the rack and ruin of the gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and steep and lies. We, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, the endless plain, all the sketch of this great green states. Make America again.
This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. In those 300 years, this community has seen some tough times, but we're still here. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of this church, offer to give what we can to build and sustain the world we envision. For the entire summer, our plate collection will be divided equally between First Parish in Needham and the Needham Community Council, which is a local nonprofit which runs, among other things, our local food pantry. Its customer list has dramatically grown during this pandemic. Our neighbors are depending on this service now more than ever.
To donate to today's offering, you can use one of three methods. You can use our Text to Give program through the number 73256 with the exact wording of UU Needham space plate or Pledge 21 space $sign and the amount you want to give. You can mail a check to First Parish at 23 Dedham Avenue. Or you can make a donation through our website, uuneedham.org, and select Donate Now under the Giving box. Whichever way, remember to specify whether your donation is meant for the plate collection or for your annual pledge. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. Please take these next few moments to give what you can and know that it will be gratefully received.
Now, our offertory music this morning is a wonderful earth-centered original piece by Nicole Sangsuri Barrett entitled Fistful of Bones, which she wove around the beautiful chant, Earth My Body. She was a songwriter, artist, musician, puppeteer, farmer, and teacher who gave herself completely to the cause of liberation and justice for all beings. She fully embraced her own identity as a mixed-race queer woman. Sadly, she was killed in an auto accident in Thailand nearly a year ago. I hope you enjoy this piece, which is part of her legacy to the world.
Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. I like to sing to the earth, I like to hold her. She likes to sing to me, she likes to hold me. I like to sing to the earth, I like to hold her. She likes to sing to me, she likes to hold me. I carry fistfuls of leaves, I make love to the breeze. I carry fistfuls of bones, I trust they will lead me home. I carry grief on my wings. I know I caged birds sing. Through many turns of this moon, my women have suffered wounds. But my grandmother's with me. Close your eyes, can't you see? And my grandchildren are here. The rose, the crow, and the deer. I am surrounded by light, the light of stories. I need to quiet my mind, I need to listen. We are surrounded by light, the light of stories. We need to quiet our minds, we need to listen. Earth my body, water my body, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my spirit. Earth my body, earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit.
Hello, this is the Reverend Dr. Michelle Walsh again. I'm inviting us all into a moment of quiet meditation in a Zen Buddhist style, followed by a spontaneous prayer. On the screen is an image of an ivory statue of a female appearing figure in a lotus position. Behind them is a red stone. Next to them are two other stones, one on which has the word create, it's brown, and the other the word magic, it's an off-white color. And next to that is a small red statue of a horse as well. They are looking over a pond or stream with greenery behind it. It's intended to be a fairly peaceful scene. So in whatever way feels comfortable to you, I invite you to call that into your imagination as we enter into a time of meditation and prayer together. So again, I just call you to notice your breath as we enter into meditation. As you feel comfortable and when you feel comfortable, let your eyes drop down into a soft focus or close them entirely. Let your body open and relax into where you are being held. You might be seated, you might be lying down. Wherever you are, notice the points of contact between your body and what is supporting you. And just take a moment to lean into those points of contact. Allow them to support you, to know that right now there is no effort, just rest and support available. Return to noticing a breath. Notice also that you are being supported by wherever you are seated or lying down. You also are being supported by the earth below you. You notice that the breath comes in cool and it's warmed by the body on exhale. The breath is life, the breath is spirit. So often we are rushing through our days, we forget to notice that we are breathing and bring that moment of calm attention to our bodies through our breath. Notice if there are any parts of your body that are holding stress or tension this morning, and just invite them to relax if they are willing and able. And if not, that's also okay. Just apply a warm, welcoming attention to those spots, those parts of our body. We often hold tension in our shoulders and in our neck, so as it feels comfortable, you might want to raise your shoulders up, roll them a little, roll your neck, release your neck. Again, notice the breath. And just invite the muscles of your face to soften and relax. Your forehead to soften and relax. And as you feel comfortable, you might want to invite a half smile to come to your lips as I invite our bell to sound 3 times. And then we sit quietly together for a few moments, being with our bodies and being with our breath in whatever way feels comfortable. And then I'll invite the bell to sound again for the close of meditation. And then I'll come back to lead a spontaneous prayer. For prayer, I invite you to continue to have your eyes closed or drop down into a soft focus if that's meaningful to you, or to return to contemplating the image on your screen. God, Goddess of many names and no names, many genders and no gender, and whom we know most closely and intimately in our Unitarian Universalist tradition as that precious and mysterious spirit of life and love that moves in us and among us and out into our larger world. We give thanks this morning for the ability to be together, and we give ongoing thanks and gratitude to all who work so hard behind the scenes and visible in the scenes to bring a Sunday morning worship to us through the miracle of technology in these ongoing challenges of these times. We give thanks this morning in particular for Phil Lyons, our worship associate. We give thanks to all the staff and volunteers who labor to bring this congregation to life in the fullness of our Unitarian Universalist faith of love and care, in valuing the worth and dignity of each person here among us and in our larger world, and recognizing and honoring the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, and that sharing and caring and creating equity and justice is our call. This morning, we hold in our hearts and prayers and vow to continue to commit for action in the larger world on behalf of justice, those who are impacted by violence and inequity, the larger climate crisis that is threatening all of us. We think particularly this morning of the rabbi who was attacked, his children, his many children, and his family, and the larger Jewish community, and all who feel impacted by the growing anti-Semitism in our larger world today and in this country. We hold in our hearts and prayers also those in Florida impacted by the condo collapse and trying to make recoveries there, the reminders of all the infrastructure struggles in our world, and the impact right now of a hurricane coming to Florida and how that will impact that particular site of recovery. This past week or so, we are also reminded of the larger injustices that remain historical and contemporary. The verdict in the Chauvin trial that is not a just verdict, and the larger justice still awaits in the reform and dismantling of structures of white supremacy culture that impact on policing and inhumanity towards Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And we also witness the revelation of yet another residential school for Indigenous children where a mass grave was found, triple the size of the former one in Canada. And it calls forth, what do we not yet know of our own residential boarding schools here for Indigenous children? What do we not yet know of these atrocities that exist in our history that we have yet to claim full knowledge of? May we commit together to the ongoing work of creating a beloved community here among us in Needham, where I know, and my husband Clyde and I both know, what a vibrant community you are. How we commit to each other here with care and tenderness and justice, and also bring this out to the larger Needham community and to our larger world on behalf of anti-racism, anti-oppression, multiculturalism, dismantling white supremacy culture, decolonizing. All of this is necessary for our collective liberation as a people. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Let's join together now in a meditative prayer response song, Woyoya, written by Ghanaian drummer Sol Amarifio. Woyoya is the title song of a 1971 album by Osibisa, a musical group of Ghanaian and Caribbean musicians. It was frequently heard in work camps throughout Central West Africa in the 1970s and 1980s. The arrangement and singing the journey comes from the version by Issei Barnwell of Sweet Honey in the Rock. Woyoya, like many other African scat syllables, can have many meanings. According to the song's composer, it means we are going. This song is frequently used in bridging ceremonies, UU ceremonies of passage from youth to young adulthood. Let's join together in singing Woyoya.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know with it
We'll build a land and let America be America again. America never was America to me. This morning, I invite reflection on the classic version of this hymn, We'll Build a Land, in our Unitarian Universalist Singing the Living Tradition hymnal. And this poem by Langston Hughes, a queer Black poet of the Harlem Renaissance period at the turn of the 20th century. I invite reflection on the implications for how we work toward transformation of this country through the naming and claiming of our national holidays, including the holiday we celebrate today as the 4th of July and Independence Day. When we use the language of we and America, whose stories, narratives, and embodied lived experiences are included in the holidays we honor? And whose stories, narratives, and embodied lived experiences are excluded? What are the implications for transformation and a deeper, more authentic relationality, justice, and beloved community when all of our country's stories are included, including concealed and resistance stories from and to our dominant cultural narratives? How does this have the potential to reshape and liberate us collectively as a people, rather than perpetuating dehumanization? For those who don't recognize the language of stock, concealed, resistance, and transformation stories, these are among the many concepts and tools that are available through education in critical race theory, a theory that many of you know is under profound attack across this country by people who want to name and claim only particular stories about this country and its origins. Stock stories that support beliefs in the superiority of white cultural ways of being and the white cisgendered heterosexual body. Here in Needham, my spouse and I have spoken to the problematics of naming and claiming Columbus Day as a national holiday, thoroughly concealing the atrocities that Columbus perpetrated on Indigenous peoples. An unfinished work of resisting and transforming our nation's stock narrative is naming and claiming Indigenous Peoples Day in lieu of Columbus Day here in Massachusetts, as at least 6 towns in Massachusetts already have done, and at least 14 states across the country. Now, in the Needham Town calendar, I witness both Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day recognized together. And I want to encourage all of us to reflect on the felt embodied experiences for Indigenous peoples to witness that a person they regard as waging genocide continues to be given equal weight in a national holiday celebration. America never was America for Indigenous peoples, indeed. What is the transformation that still awaits creation for a new national narrative of this country's birth and origins that includes the genocide of Indigenous peoples and enslavement of Africans and others? Is truth and reconciliation a possibility, or does the we of this country need to let go of the desire for reconciliation in favor of what Heather McGhee in her book, The Sum of Us, points to as a truth, racial healing, and transformation effort, a concept founded by her mother, Dr. Gail Christopher, a public health and social policy expert. Many of us do recognize that our Independence Day celebration is a stock story of independence from the colonial hold of England for predominantly white male property owners. The often cited and celebrated story of the Boston Tea Party entailed playing Indian, as Philip Deloria has written in a book of the same name, dressing up as Indians to claim that the colonists were indeed native to America rather than English. There is a small nugget of a resistance story to colonialism that can be gleaned from this, and yet it is very far from being a fully inclusive story of resistance to the impact of settler colonialism on Indigenous peoples and enslaved Africans here in this country, as well as the impact of settler colonialism and capitalism worldwide. can we really celebrate the nugget of resistance without also illuminating all the pieces of the solid mass of intersectional oppression from which it is taken? And when we do reclaim history by creating a new federal holiday, such as Juneteenth most recently, the first new federal holiday since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was adopted in 1983, how do we do so in a way that it continues to challenge us to live into that covenant of which James Luther Adams speaks, that sustaining and transforming power not made with human hands? How do we learn to resist a federal holiday becoming whitewashed by institutionalized white supremacy culture into another stock story instead of an ongoing call to transformation? We know that this has happened with the federal holiday that became Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and that much of King's profound political radicalism was written out of our children's history books. One of our own UUA Board of Trustees members, Leslie Mack, has expressed this in a June 19th op-ed for News One entitled "Finding and Losing Juneteenth." Leslie Mack writes, in 2015, activists and organizers within the Movement for Black Lives launched #ReclaimMLK, a call to action to take back the narrative legacy of MLK and recenter the holiday on the radical message of his life and work. As we watch the same thing happen with Juneteenth, I can't help but wonder how long until we all need to #reclaim Juneteenth, #reclaim Juneteenth. Perhaps this time we need to do that collective work proactively. Leslie Mack continues, to make Juneteenth a day rooted in truth-telling about the racist history of the USA a federal holiday, while voting rights are on the brink of being rolled back to Jim Crow level suppression tactics, and laws are being passed to deliberately prohibit the truth about racism in this country from being taught in our schools, is a special kind of gaslighting. It should make us question how Juneteenth would ever even be taught or spoken about in the coming years. How long will it be until Juneteenth is stripped of all meaning and positioned as a, quote, day to celebrate Blackness, completely detached from the painful but resilient legacy the holiday was created to uphold, end quote. This is the yes and both and danger of creating federal holiday legislation. Such legislation has the danger to become purely performative and ultimately gaslighting, as Leslie Mack writes. If not challenged to live into the fullness of stories, narratives, and embodied lived experiences represented, and if not challenged to actively engage in dismantling the institutionalized policies, structures, and culture left by white supremacy as a legacy of colonialism and capitalism. And yes, it also is true that collectively we need to name and claim all the concealed stories and resistance stories in whichever national holidays we do choose to lift up as a place of beginning, and to use this for authentic education, not false education, so that a clear analysis can be present for how to dismantle the policies and structures that are harming, quote unquote, the sum of us, again, as Heather McGhee has named it. Now, this also can be difficult on an embodied level of felt experiences, particularly for those of us racialized as white, when we have very heartfelt and positive attachments to the stock stories and practices of celebration that went with them, including family celebrations and warm memories. We witness this in the resistance of some in particular Italian communities to dismantling stock stories of Columbus, in which they take great pride. We certainly witness this as well in some Southern white communities who hold on to stock stories of the Confederacy and Civil War as being about preserving their treasured cultural way of life and being. A recent podcast by Reveal entitled Monumental Lies, and sent to me by a UU congregant in Quincy, demonstrates just how deep these stories go in the willingness to disconnect in an embodied, compassionate ways from atrocities perpetuated through slavery. Resmaa Menakem's work, My Grandmother's Hands, demonstrates how deeply our enculturation into white supremacy lives in our bodies. And this is an entirely different work of dismantling in an enduring way to which we are called in order to live fully into a transformative faith that contributes also to a transformative narrative for this country. This is both soul work, as we are commonly used to calling it as Unitarian Universalists, and it also is fully embodied work and grief work on a level beyond our reason and minds and worldviews. It's about something that I've languaged as our world sense, our felt sense of our worlds of relational attachments and beliefs and experiences. Something can be irrevocably lost and changed in the process of recognizing the harm in which we as white people are complicit. And if we stay patiently with it, something larger and more transformative also can be gained. As I spontaneously said to Phil, this is a different type of divestment. For those of us holding many levels of intersectional identities of privilege by race, gender, ability, class, etc., it is a divestment of embodied ways of being, a literal shedding of dimensions of our sensory body of attachments, the warmth that can come from them, and our sense of ourselves. This is a shedding of what brings harm to others and dehumanizes others in a power hoarding and prioritizing of our very real attachments and stories, warm and otherwise rooted in our relational worlds, but which fail to witness to or make space for and justice and foster justice and equity for other cultural ways of being with their own warmth of attachments, relational worlds, stories, and sources of strength and resilience from which we all can learn. In doing this power hoarding, we create harm in ourselves by limiting our capacities for empathy, compassion, and relational depth. And the hardest realization is just how unconscious this is and remains when we are in a position of normative power and privilege, until those we harm bring it to our awareness and give us an opportunity for relational repair and reparations, if possible, with grace. I'll close now with just one small example of this from early in my relationship with my spouse. It's just one of many, and not only with Clyde, but also with others, and this one just happened to come to the surface for illustration as I was writing this sermon. When we were first dating, now over 10 years ago, because we've been married for 10 years, Clyde was in the process of moving from California to Massachusetts, and I was tasked to find an apartment for us. I found one in Revere that I loved because it was nestled into a quarry, and hence it was surrounded by stone. Clyde came and approved this choice, and a few months after we moved in, I said how much I loved being there because it made me feel like I was living in a mini experience of the Grand Canyon, a place I had loved to visit as a young adult. For the first time, Clyde said to me that he hated living in the quarry because it reminded him of how much damage human beings did to Mother Earth. Well, you can imagine that this was an incredibly painful moment for me to realize that he was experiencing what I loved in a completely different way than I was. And this moment was about more than my guilt and shame, however. This was about really leaning into, as I often need to do, how much Clyde experiences the felt sense of his world differently than I do, in ways that are burdened by suffering that I am not required to carry. But also, and this is equally, if not more important, in ways that are liberating to my own felt sense of expanded possibilities, including freedom from my own enculturation to a felt sense of urgency and perfectionism and individualism as a legacy burden of white supremacy culture. In that moment, however, there was grief that I would never be able to look at that quarry in quite the same way again. And in learning to lean in and be patient through the grief, I have been rewarded with a relationship that has and continues to expand my boundaries of and connection with and imagination of the possibilities for my own humanity. And this is what I would wish for all of us as Unitarian Universalists and for this country in the naming and claiming of our national holidays, that they become ways ritually to raise our consciousness and awareness, divest from embodied practices that are not life-giving for all, and to acknowledge shared grief and renewed commitments to widening the circle of concern with truth-telling and authenticity, according to our UUA Commission on Institutional Change report, so that we truly may be transformed and collectively liberated over time. May a shared and embodied national understanding of collective liberation become the new, inclusive, imaginative, and transformed meaning of the 4th of July and Independence Day, for now and in the future yet to come. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. We are delighted this morning that the Unitarian Universalist Society of Grafton and Upton's virtual choir and music directors Barry Hall and Bob Nickel have agreed to share their version of Building a New Way, number 1017 in Singing the Journey. This is a song written by Martha Sandifer, and it's described as bluesy and energetic. It is a great joy to sing and also to witness the joy of this congregation in singing the song. Please, let's join in singing Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed our every need. Every need. We can feed our every need. Every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, our world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. A new way, a new way, a new way.
So once again, dear ones, let's join together in granting each other a mutual benediction as we return to our shared worlds together. This is written by Reinhold Niebuhr, and it's entitled, We Must Be Saved. So let's say together and to each other from your homes, nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we are saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own. Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. Blessed be.
As we close our service today, remember to keep an eye out for emails from First Parish and follow us on social media for ways to connect with your faith community. When today's service ends, you're all invited to stay with us for our Zoom social hour. Please remember, if you fall ill or need pastoral support, to reach out to our pastoral care team or caring crew via phone or email. Please check in with your friends at First Parish too. We all need each other these days. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we're together again, no matter how long it is until we are together again. Please join me from home in saying these words, written by UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.